Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked through the massive halls of the Galactic Council building. The ceiling stretched high above her head, built to accommodate beings much larger than humans. Crystal formations glowed with soft blue light, casting strange shadows on the walls. She had walked these halls for 10 years, but today felt different. Today would change everything. Elena's footsteps echoed as she made her way to the high assembly chamber. Other species moved around her. Tall, thin creatures with 4 arms, floating beings made of energy and massive rock-like forms that shook the ground with each step. They all towered over her small human frame, but Elena had learned long ago that size meant nothing when it came to getting things done. She carried a data pad in her hand. On it was humanity's report about the Andromedy conflict. 18 months of work. 18 months of watching 2 alien species try to wipe each other out. 18 months of human diplomats, soldiers, and aid workers risking their lives to stop a war that had gone on for 300 years. The other species said it was impossible. They said the Keth and the Zorani would never stop fighting. They had tried for decades to make peace between them, but nothing worked. The hatred ran too deep, they claimed. The war was too old, but humans did not believe in impossible things. Elena's team had studied both species. They learned their languages, their cultures, their histories. They found that the war started over a misunderstanding about trade routes. Over the centuries, both sides had forgotten the real reason they were fighting. They just knew they hated each other. Human negotiators did something the Council had never tried. They separated the leaders and made them live with families from the other species. They forced them to see their enemies as people, not monsters. It took months, but slowly, understanding grew. The breakthrough came when a Keth child got sick with a rare disease. The only doctor who could save her was Zorani. The child's father, a high-ranking military commander, had to choose between his hatred and his daughter's life. He chose his daughter. That moment changed everything. Within 6 months, both species signed a peace treaty. The war that had killed billions was over. Elena reached the great doors of the High Assembly. They were made from metal taken from the First World to join the Council, thousands of years ago. Guards on either side nodded to her. They knew her well. She had solved many problems for the Council over the years. Inside, the chamber was enormous. Thousands of beings sat in curved rows that rose up like steps. At the center was a platform where speakers stood. Above it all, the Council speaker's position floated in the air, a glowing field that held Thexmar, a being of pure energy. Elena walked to the platform. Every eye, sensor, and awareness in the room focused on her. She had given many reports here, but never felt such tension in the air. Council members, she began, her voice carried by speakers throughout the chamber. Humanity is proud to report that the Andromedy conflict has ended. After 3 centuries of war, the Keth and Zorani people are at peace. A wave of sounds filled the chamber. Some species cheered. Others made noises of surprise. Many remained silent. The peace treaty was signed 47 days ago, Elena continued. Both species have begun rebuilding. Trade has started between their worlds. The refugee camps are closing as people return home. She paused and looked around the chamber. This war cost an estimated 12 billion lives over 300 years. It could have ended decades ago with the right approach. The chamber fell silent. Elena knew her words stung. The Council had tried to end this war many times and failed. Thexmar's energy form pulsed brighter. When he spoke, his voice came from speakers around the chamber, translated into hundreds of languages at once. Ambassador Vasquez, the Council recognizes humanity's success in this matter. However, we must discuss the methods used. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. She had expected praise, not questions about methods. Your species has shown remarkable ability to solve conflicts, Thexmar continued. Perhaps too remarkable. In the past 50 years, humans have ended 17 major wars, resolved over 300 trade disputes, and prevented countless other conflicts. Yes, Elena said carefully. We are honored to serve the Council in this way. That is the problem, another voice said. Councillor Vextel, a mantis-like creature from the Rigel system, stood on his platform. Your success rate is unprecedented. It defies statistical probability. Other species begin to depend on humanity to solve their problems instead of finding their own solutions. Elena's heart started beating faster. She did not like where this was going. Thexmar's form pulsed again. More concerning is how you solve these problems. You ignore established protocols. You take risks that could endanger entire systems. Your methods are unpredictable. But they work, Elena said firmly. Yes, and that is what makes them dangerous, Thexmar replied. The galaxy has maintained stability for over 10,000 years, through careful, measured responses to conflict. Your species threatens that stability with your creativity. The word creativity came out like it was something disgusting. What exactly are you saying? Helena asked, though she was beginning to understand. The Council has decided that humanity must be regulated, Thexmar announced. Your species' ability to think outside established parameters poses a risk to galactic order. Therefore, all humans in Council service will undergo neural inhibitor treatment. Elena felt like she had been hit in the stomach. Neural inhibitors? A simple procedure, Counselor Vextil explained. It will limit your species' tendency toward unpredictable problem-solving. You will still be able to function normally, but your more dangerous creative impulses will be controlled. You want to lobotomize us, Elena said, her voice getting louder. We want to make you safe, Thexmar replied. The procedure is mandatory for all humans in Council space. It will begin within 30 days. Elena looked around the chamber. Thousands of alien faces stared back at her. Some looked uncomfortable, others pleased. None looked willing to help. For 50 years, humanity had served the Council faithfully. They had sent their best and brightest to solve problems no one else could handle. They had risked their lives to save species they had never met. They had given everything to prove they deserved their place among the stars, and now the Council wanted to cut out the very thing that made them useful. Elena thought about her daughter back on Earth. She thought about all the young humans who dreamed of exploring the galaxy. She thought about every human who had died serving the Council's cause. No, she said quietly. The chamber erupted in shocked noises. No one had ever refused a direct Council mandate. I'm sorry? Thexmar's energy form flickered. I said no, Elena repeated louder this time. Earth respectfully declines your generous offer to lobotomize our species. This is not a request, Vextil said, his mandibles clicking angrily. This is a requirement for continued Council membership. Elena straightened her shoulders and looked directly at Thexmar's glowing form. Then perhaps it's time to reconsider that membership. The chamber fell completely silent. Helena could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. You cannot be serious, Thexmar said finally. Deadly serious, Elena replied. We came to the stars to grow, to learn, to become more than we were. We will not accept becoming less than we are just to make others comfortable. She turned and began walking toward the exit. Behind her, the chamber exploded into chaos. Hundreds of species shouted, clicked, hummed, and roared in dozens of languages. But Elena kept walking. She had a message to send to Earth. Things were about to change in ways the galaxy could never imagine. The emergency session began at dawn in Geneva. President Chen Wei sat at the head of the long table in the Global Council chamber, her face grim as she watched world leaders file in. Some appeared in person. Others joined through holographic projection from around the Earth and its colonies. Elena's message had arrived 6 hours ago. The recording showed her standing in her small apartment on Luna Station, still wearing her formal council robes. Her voice was steady, but everyone could see the exhaustion in her eyes. The Council has given us 30 days, she had said. They want to put neural inhibitors in every human brain. They're afraid of how we think, how we solve problems. They call our creativity dangerous. President Chen looked around the table as the last members took their seats. General Marcus Torres from Luna Command, Dr. Sarah Montgomery from Advanced Sciences, Admiral Lisa Park from the Colonial Fleet, Director James Wright from Intelligence. These were the people who would decide humanity's future. You've all seen Ambassador Vasquez's report, President Chen began. The Council wants to perform medical procedures on our people to make us think less creatively. The question is, what do we do about it? Foreign Minister Jean-Luc Dubois spoke first. We should negotiate. Find a compromise. We cannot lose our place in the galactic community. What compromise? General Torres asked. They want to cut into our brains. How do you compromise on that? Perhaps we could limit the procedure to volunteers, suggested Economics Minister Yuki Tanaka. Show good faith while maintaining our essential personnel. Dr. Montgomery shook her head. You don't understand what neural inhibitors do. They don't just limit creativity. They change how you think at the most basic level. A human with inhibitors wouldn't be human anymore. That might be an exaggeration, Minister Dubois said. It's not, Dr. Montgomery replied firmly. I've been studying council technology for 20 years. Neural inhibitors work by creating scar tissue in specific brain regions. The changes are permanent. They would make us docile, compliant, unable to question or innovate. Admiral Park leaned forward. What's our military situation if we refuse? General Torres pulled up a holographic display showing the solar system. Not good. The Council has over 50 warships within striking distance of Earth. Their technology is superior to ours in most areas. If they decide to force the issue, we'll have a hard time stopping them. Most areas? President Chen noticed his careful wording. General Torres smiled for the first time since the meeting began. That's where Dr. Montgomery comes in. Dr. Montgomery stood and activated her own display. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about Project Prometheus. The hologram showed technical drawings and data streams that meant nothing to most of the people in the room. But the images at the end were clear enough. Spaceships, weapons, technology that looked both familiar and alien. For 15 years, we've been reverse engineering every piece of council technology we could get our hands on, Dr. Montgomery explained. But we didn't just copy it. We improved it. We made it better. She changed the display to show construction sites on the far side of the moon, massive shipyards hidden in craters protected by stealth fields and careful positioning. The Council thinks human creativity is dangerous because we don't follow their rules, she continued. They've had the same technology for thousands of years because they're afraid to experiment. We've had their technology for 15 years and we've already surpassed them in key areas. Such as? President Chen asked. Faster than light travel, Dr. Montgomery said. Council ships need weeks to charge their jump drives. Ours can jump instantly. Energy shielding. Our ships can absorb weapon impacts that would destroy Council vessels. And most importantly, adaptive systems. What does that mean? Minister Tanaka asked. Our ships learn. They adapt to new threats in real time. Fight one of our ships once and it remembers. Fight it again and it's ready for you. Director Wright had been quiet until now. Dr. Montgomery's been handling the technical preparation. I've been handling intelligence. He activated his own display. We've been mapping council networks for years. Every communication hub, every data center, every secret facility. We know where their military bases are, where their leaders live, and most importantly, what they don't want the galaxy to know. The display showed files labeled with alien symbols, genocide cover-ups, slave trading by council members, technology suppression to maintain power. The council isn't the peaceful organization they pretend to be. They're a protection racket run by the oldest, most powerful species. President Chen studied the faces around the table. She could see the decision forming in their eyes. You're talking about leaving the council entirely, she said. More than that, General Torres replied. We're talking about complete separation. No council presence in human space. No council oversight of human activities. Independence. The other species won't accept that, Minister Dubois warned. They'll see it as rebellion. Let them, Admiral Park said. We've been their problem solvers for 50 years. Let's see how they handle their problems without us. President Chen was quiet for a long moment. What about our people in council space? The colonies, the trading posts, the diplomatic missions. They come home, Dr. Montgomery said. All of them. We evacuate every human from council territory. That's millions of people, Minister Tanaka pointed out. We have the ships, Admiral Park replied. Hidden reserves we've been building for years. We can move everyone in a matter of days. Director Wright smiled grimly. And when we leave, we take our knowledge with us. Every technical manual, every medical procedure, every engineering solution humans have developed while serving the council. They'll discover just how much they depend on us. President Chen looked at each person around the table. This is irreversible. Once we do this, there's no going back. We'll be on our own in the galaxy. We've always been on our own, General Torres said. We just pretended otherwise. The vote was unanimous. 3 hours later, encrypted messages began transmitting to every human ship, station, and colony in the galaxy. The message was simple. Prometheus rising. Come home. Dr. Montgomery returned to her laboratories beneath the lunar surface. Her teams had been working in shifts for months preparing for this moment. The shipyards went into full production. Every hidden facility activated. Admiral Park contacted the fleet commanders scattered throughout human space. They had been planning for this possibility for years. Every ship captain knew their role. Director Wright's operatives throughout Council territory received their final assignments. Years of intelligence gathering had led to this moment, and in her apartment on Luna Station, Elena Vasquez packed her belongings. Tomorrow she would face the Council one last time. She would deliver humanity's final message to the galaxy. The message was simple. Humanity refused to be diminished for the comfort of others. If the galaxy couldn't accept humans as they were, then humans would find their own path among the stars. President Chen stood at the window of her office, looking up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, thousands of human ships were preparing to come home. Somewhere out there, the greatest exodus in human history was about to begin. The Council had demanded that humanity become smaller, weaker, easier to control. Instead, they were about to discover what humans could accomplish when they stopped trying to fit in and started being themselves. The next few days would shake the galaxy to its core. Elena stood before the Galactic Council one final time. The great chamber buzzed with nervous energy as thousands of alien representatives waited to hear her response. 3 days had passed since the ultimatum. 3 days for humanity to accept neural inhibitors or face the consequences. Thexmar's energy form pulsed impatiently above the assembly. Ambassador Vasquez, has Earth reached a decision regarding compliance with Council requirements? Elena looked up at the glowing being that had once seemed so wise and benevolent. Now she saw him for what he truly was, afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of being shown up by a younger species, afraid of losing control. Earth has indeed reached a decision, Elena said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's speakers. But first we have some information to share with the galaxy. She activated her data pad. Throughout Council space, every communication network suddenly received the same transmission. On worlds across the galaxy, beings stopped what they were doing to watch screens that flickered to life without warning. Citizens of the galaxy, Elena's voice said from millions of speakers. For 50 years, humanity has served the Galactic Council faithfully. We believed we were part of a noble organization dedicated to peace and prosperity. Today you will learn the truth. The screen showed documents marked with official Council seals. Financial records, communication logs, secret orders. All of them real. All of them damning. The Xerian genocide of 2387, Elena's recorded voice continued. 15 million beings died while the Council debated whether to intervene. Internal communications show they delayed on purpose to allow Council-friendly mining companies to claim Xerion resources. Gasps and shouts erupted throughout the chamber. Councillor Vextil's mandibles clicked rapidly. This is fabricated. Lies designed to the Altair slave trade. Elena's voice cut him off. The screen showed shipping manifests and payment records. 17 Council members have been profiting from the sale of sentient beings for over a century. The practice continues today, more shouts. Several Council members tried to leave their seats but found the exits sealed. Director Wright's hackers had taken control of the building's systems. The technology suppression protocols, Elena continued. For 2,000 years, the Council has prevented younger species from developing advanced technologies. Medical cures, energy systems, transportation methods, all suppressed to maintain the power structure that benefits the founding species. The screens showed laboratory reports, destroyed research facilities, scientists who had mysteriously disappeared. The evidence was overwhelming. In the chamber, Elena watched as the Council's carefully maintained order collapsed into chaos. Species accused each other of betrayal. Ancient alliances crumbled as hidden crimes came to light. But Elena wasn't finished. And finally, her recorded voice said, the real reason for neural inhibitors. Internal Council communications reveal they are not about safety. They are about control. Any species that becomes too successful, too innovative, too independent faces the same choice. Submit to mental modification or be destroyed. The screens showed a list of species that had faced similar ultimatums over the centuries. Some had submitted. Others had been wiped out in police actions to maintain galactic stability. Elena turned off her data pad and looked around the chamber. This is why Earth refuses your offer to lobotomize our people. We will not become another controlled species in your collection. Thexmar's energy form flared brightly. You have committed an act of war against the Council. We will be leaving, Elena said calmly. At that moment, alarms began blaring throughout the council building. Emergency lights flashed as the building's AI announced in multiple languages. Multiple fleet movements detected. Unknown vessels approaching council space. On the chamber's main display, sensor data showed the impossible. Hundreds of ships were emerging from faster-than-light travel around council worlds throughout the galaxy. Ships that sensor readings said shouldn't exist. Impossible, breathed Counselor Zethkan, a crystalline being from the Vega system. No one can jump that many ships simultaneously. The power requirements alone would require technology you don't have, Elena finished. Fortunately, we do. The display showed human ships appearing around every major council world. They moved in perfect coordination, their hulls gleaming with energy shields that pulsed in patterns the council sensors had never seen before. What is the meaning of this? Thexmar demanded. Evacuation, Elena replied. Every human citizen in council space is coming home. Every human facility is being abandoned. Every human-operated system is being shut down. As if on cue, lights began flickering throughout the council building. The translation systems started glitching. Environmental controls wavered. Elena smiled as chaos spread around her. You never realized how much you depend on us, did you? Human technicians maintain your communication networks. Human engineers designed your life support systems. Human programmers wrote the software that runs your cities. The main display flickered and changed to show evacuation ships docking at human facilities throughout the galaxy. Families boarding transports. Entire colonies packing up and leaving. The largest migration in galactic history was happening in real time. You cannot simply leave, Bextil shouted. The economic disruption alone will teach you to value what you had, Elena said. The sanctuary worlds that humans have been protecting from raiders? Good luck defending them yourselves. The trade routes we've been managing? Hope you can figure out the navigation systems we installed. More alarms sounded. A new voice came through the communication system. Council Fleet Command to High Assembly. We are tracking multiple hostile vessels in Sector 7. Request permission to intercept. Granted. Thexmar pulsed. Stop them. Elena watched the tactical display with interest. 3 council warships moved to intercept a group of human evacuation vessels. The human ships were smaller, fewer in number. By all military doctrine, they should have been easy targets. The first council ship fired its main weapons. Energy beams that could crack a planet's crust struck the lead human vessel. The beam simply stopped, absorbed by shields that glowed brighter with each impact. Impossible, whispered Admiral Corvin, the Council's military commander. Nothing can absorb that much energy. We can, Elena said. We learned from your mistakes. You built weapons designed to destroy ships like yours. We built ships designed to survive weapons like yours. The human ships didn't return fire. They simply continued their evacuation mission, while Council weapons failed to even slow them down. It was a demonstration more terrifying than any battle. This is madness, Thexmar said, his energy form flickering with what might have been fear. You cannot survive alone in the galaxy. Without Council protection? We've been protecting ourselves just fine, Elena interrupted. And protecting a lot of other species too. The question is, can you survive without us? As if answering her question, reports began flooding in from across Council space. The communication breakdown was spreading. Transportation systems were failing. On dozens of worlds, infrastructure that had worked perfectly for decades suddenly stopped functioning. Elena picked up her datapad and headed for the exit. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when you take humans for granted. Maybe next time you'll think twice before trying to lobotomize the people keeping your civilization running. Where are you going? Thexmar demanded. Elena paused at the chamber doors. Home, to help prepare for whatever comes next. This isn't over, Bextil called after her. The Council will not tolerate this rebellion. Elena looked back one final time at the chaotic assembly. You're right. It's not over. It's just beginning. And when you're ready to treat us as equals instead of subjects, you know where to find us. She walked out of the chamber as the Council devolved into arguments, accusations, and panic. Behind her, the greatest political upheaval in galactic history was just getting started. Above the planet, human ships continued their evacuation. Soon every human in Council space would be gone, and with them would go 50 years of accumulated knowledge, innovation, and problem-solving that the galaxy had come to depend on. The Council had wanted humanity to be smaller, weaker, more controllable. Instead, they were about to discover just how big a hole humans would leave behind. 6 months after the Great Severance, the galaxy was falling apart. Counselor Vextil stood in what had once been the Council's emergency command center, watching reports stream in from across known space. Half the screens showed static. The other half showed disasters. "Rigel Prime is requesting immediate assistance," reported his aide, a nervous Altarian whose blue skin had turned pale with stress. "Their atmospheric processors have failed. They estimate 30 days before the air becomes unbreathable." Vextil's mandibles clicked in frustration. What did the technical team say? "They cannot repair them, Counselor. The systems were designed by humans using principles our engineers do not understand. Without the original designers, the processors are irreparable." Another screen flashed red. "Counselor," called a communications officer, "we're receiving a distress call from the Centauri Mining Consortium. Their extraction operations have completely shut down." "Equipment failure?" Vextil asked, though he already knew the answer. "The opposite, sir. The equipment is functioning perfectly, but no one knows how to operate it. The human technicians took all the operational manuals when they left. The systems were designed to be intuitive to human thinking patterns, but they make no sense to other species." Vextil turned to the main display showing galactic trade routes. Red markers indicated disrupted shipping lanes. Yellow showed reduced capacity. Green routes were increasingly rare. "How many systems are affected now?" he asked. "Over 60% of Council space is experiencing significant infrastructure problems," his aide replied. "The Zephyrian corridor has been closed for 3 months because no one can recalibrate the navigation beacons. The Vegan medical supply route collapsed when the automated distribution centers stopped responding to commands." "And the military situation?" The aide hesitated. "The Keth and Zorani are at war again, Counselor. Without human mediators, their peace treaty lasted exactly 4 months. The Proxima conflict has spread to include the Barnard system. The Silicon Confederacy is expanding aggressively, and our fleet cannot keep up with their adaptive strategies." Vextil felt old, though his species lived for millennia. In 6 months, the galaxy had regressed centuries. Wars that had been settled were reigniting. Technology that had worked flawlessly was breaking down. Trade networks that had operated smoothly for decades were collapsing. And through it all, human space remained completely sealed. The mysterious barrier that surrounded human territory had proven impenetrable. Ships that approached it simply lost power and drifted harmlessly away. Communication attempts were ignored. Long-range sensors could not penetrate the field to see what the humans were doing inside their self-imposed isolation. "Any response from the human territories?" Vextil asked, though he knew what the answer would be. "Nothing, Counselor. They maintain complete radio silence." A new alarm sounded. Thexmar's energy form materialized in the center of the command center, flickering with agitation. "Council speaker," Vextil acknowledged with a bow. "I was just reviewing the latest reports. The situation is deteriorating. Faster than our worst projections." Thexmar's voice crackled with static. Even the Council speaker's communication systems were failing. "How many species have withdrawn from the Council this month?" 17, Vextil replied. "The Tau Satians formally withdrew yesterday. They claim the Council can no longer provide basic services." "Services the humans provided," Thexmar said bitterly. "We never realized how much we depended on their problem-solving abilities. They were involved in every major Council project for the past 50 years. Perhaps we could negotiate their return," Vextil suggested carefully. "Offer them favorable terms, reduce the neural inhibitor requirements." "Absolutely not," Thexmar flared brighter. "The humans humiliated the Council before the entire galaxy. They revealed classified information. They disrupted the entire galactic order. They cannot be allowed to return without consequences." "Then what do you suggest, Council Speaker?" Before Thexmar could answer, new alarms filled the command center. A communications officer called out urgently, "Council Speaker, we're receiving an emergency transmission from the Altair system. The crystalline plague has returned." Vextil felt his blood freeze. The crystalline plague had nearly wiped out the Altarians 3 decades ago. Only human medical intervention had saved them. "How bad is it?" he asked. 17 worlds affected so far and spreading. Initial estimates suggest the entire Altarian species could be extinct within 2 years. "Deploy our medical teams immediately," Thexmar ordered. "We already did, Council Speaker," the officer replied. They have no idea how to treat it. The cure requires human medical techniques that were never fully shared with other species. Our doctors are trying to reverse engineer the treatment, but they need years, and the Altarians have months. Vextil finished. Thexmar's form pulsed rapidly, the energy equivalent of pacing. "There must be something we can do, some way to force the humans to help." "With what leverage?" Vextil asked. "We cannot penetrate their space. Our fleet cannot match their technology. They have made themselves completely self-sufficient." A new voice cut through the chaos. "Perhaps I can answer that." Everyone in the command center turned to see Ambassador Kriltar of the Centauri Republic enter the chamber. The elderly diplomat moved slowly, but his eyes were sharp. "Ambassador," Thexmar acknowledged. "I was not aware you had requested an audience." "I did not come to request anything," Kriltar replied. "I came to deliver a message from my government. The Centauri Republic is withdrawing from the Galactic Council effective immediately." "You cannot," Vextil protested. "The Centauri have been council members for over 2,000 years. And in all that time we learned nothing," Kriltar said sadly. "We became dependent on others to solve our problems, to maintain our technology, to keep our systems running. The humans were right to leave us." "They abandoned their responsibilities," Thexmar argued. "They left the galaxy in chaos." Kriltar smiled grimly. "They left us to face the consequences of our own choices. For 50 years, we let humans solve our problems instead of learning to solve them ourselves. We became lazy, comfortable, dependent." He activated a portable hologram showing images from across the galaxy. "Look at what is happening. Wars resuming because we never learned real diplomacy. Technology failing because we never bothered to understand it. Crises spreading because we always assumed someone else would handle them. The humans should have stayed to help," Vextil insisted. "Why?" Kriltar asked. "So we could continue to take their help for granted? So we could continue to treat them as useful servants while fearing their abilities? So we could eventually force them to diminish themselves for our comfort?" Thexmar's energy form flickered angrily. "They were dangerous. Their unpredictable methods threatened galactic stability." "Their methods worked," Kriltar replied. "While we debated and followed protocols and maintained the status quo, they ended wars, saved lives, and solved impossible problems. And instead of learning from them, we tried to lobotomize them." He turned toward the exit. "My government has decided to formally request diplomatic contact with human space. We will attempt to negotiate our own agreement with them, separate from the Council." "They will not respond," Vextil said. "They have ignored all contact attempts." "From the Council, yes," Kriltar agreed. "But perhaps they will be more interested in speaking with species who have acknowledged their mistakes." As the Centauri ambassador left, the command center fell silent except for the constant stream of disaster reports. Vextil looked at the displays showing a galaxy in crisis and wondered if they had made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The humans had wanted to be treated as equals. Instead, the Council had tried to make them controllable. Now they were gone, and the galaxy was learning just how much they had depended on human innovation, creativity, and problem-solving. The question was it too late to fix their mistake? 2 years after the Great Severance, Elena Vasquez stood in her office overlooking the sprawling city of New Geneva on Luna. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see Earth rising over the lunar horizon, its blue surface unmarked by the chaos consuming the rest of the galaxy. Her new title was First Independent Ambassador of the Human Territories. It was a job she had never wanted, but had been elected to by popular vote from every human world and station. The responsibility was enormous, but someone had to speak for humanity in this new age of isolation. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Elena's assistant, Maria Santos, appeared on the wall screen from the communication center. Ambassador, we're receiving another diplomatic request. This time it's from the Andorian Federation. Elena sighed. That makes 43 this month. What are they offering? The usual. Technology sharing, mutual defense pacts, preferential trade agreements. They're also promising to withdraw from the Council if we agree to talks. And their current crisis? Maria checked her notes. Complete ecological collapse on their core worlds. Their terraforming systems are failing, and they cannot repair them without human expertise. Elena nodded. It was always the same story. Species that had lived comfortably for centuries, suddenly finding themselves helpless when human-designed or human-maintained systems broke down. The galaxy was learning a harsh lesson about dependency. What's our current policy on new diplomatic contacts? President Chen confirmed it yesterday, Maria replied. We evaluate requests from species that formally withdraw from Council authority and publicly acknowledge their past mistakes. The Andorians still support the Council's neural inhibitor policy. Then they get the standard response. When you're ready to treat us as equals. Not subjects, we'll talk. Elena closed the communication and turned back to her desk, where reports from around human space lay scattered. The news was remarkably good, especially compared to the disasters occurring throughout Council territory. Dr. Sarah Montgomery's research teams, freed from Council restrictions, had achieved breakthrough after breakthrough. Energy shields that could protect entire planets, faster-than-light communication that worked instantly across galactic distances, medical treatments that could cure diseases previously thought incurable. Most importantly, they had developed what humans called the Prometheus defense grid. It was more than just the barrier that protected human space. It was a complete technological ecosystem that made human territories truly independent and secure. Elena picked up the latest report from Admiral Park's fleet commanders. Human exploration ships were mapping regions of space the Council had never bothered to investigate. They had discovered 17 new star systems with habitable planets, 3 of which already supported primitive life. The isolation had not weakened humanity. It had unleashed them. A priority alert flashed on Elena's desk screen. She accepted the communication and President Chen's face appeared. Elena, we need to talk. Something significant is happening. More diplomatic requests? Elena asked. Something much more interesting. Are you available for a secure conference in 1 hour? I want Dr. Montgomery and Admiral Park included. Elena checked her schedule. Of course, Madam President. What's this about? I'll brief everyone together. But Elena, this could change everything. An hour later, Elena sat in the secure conference room deep beneath Luna's surface. The walls were lined with quantum scramblers that made eavesdropping impossible. President Chen appeared on the main screen from Earth, while Dr. Montgomery joined from her laboratory complex and Admiral Park connected from the Fleet Command Center. Ladies, President Chen began, we've received an unprecedented communication. It came through our deep space monitoring stations, transmitted on frequencies only we use. She activated a recording. The voice that emerged was translated from an alien language, but the words were clear. This message is for the human territories. I am Koltar of the Centauri Republic, speaking on behalf of what we call the Independent Coalition. We are 17 species that have withdrawn from the Galactic Council. We wish to propose a new kind of relationship. Elena leaned forward. This was different from the usual requests for help. The recorded voice continued. We do not come as supplicants begging for aid. We do not offer trade deals or defense pacts. Instead, we propose something that has never existed in galactic history. A true confederation of equals. Dr. Montgomery raised an eyebrow. Equals? That's a word we haven't heard from aliens in a long time. We have spent 2 years examining our mistakes. The recording continued. We understand now that we became dependent on others instead of developing our own capabilities. We treated the humans as problem solvers rather than partners. We supported the Council's attempt to diminish them because we feared being surpassed. Admiral Park looked skeptical. It's easy to say that after their infrastructure collapsed. We do not ask for human technology, Koltar's voice said, as if answering her objection. We do not ask for human intervention in our conflicts. Instead, we offer something different. Collaboration between species that respect each other's strengths and independence. Elena felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Hope. The Independent Coalition proposes a new model for galactic civilization. No dominant species. No central authority that controls others. No suppression of innovation or creativity. Instead, voluntary cooperation between species that maintain their sovereignty while sharing knowledge and resources freely. President Chen paused the recording. They've sent detailed proposals for everything from joint research projects to mutual exploration missions. But they're very clear that they want partnership, not dependency. What about the Council? Dr. Montgomery asked. Are they still trying to maintain control? Barely, Admiral Park replied. Our intelligence suggests they've lost over half their member species. The remaining members are mostly the oldest, most conservative civilizations that are too proud to admit their mistakes. Elena studied the paused image of the alien diplomat. What's your assessment of this coalition's sincerity? They've already proven it, President Chen said. Look at this. She activated a new display showing star charts. The Centauri Republic has opened their entire territory to our exploration vessels. The Altarians have shared their complete medical database with our researchers. The Tausidians have offered us joint colonization rights to systems they discovered. They're not asking for anything in return? Elena asked. Just the chance to prove they've learned from their mistakes, President Chen replied. Dr. Montgomery pulled up her own files. I've been analyzing the data they've shared. It's genuine, complete, and includes information that could significantly advance our own research. This isn't a trick or a desperate gambit. They're offering real partnership. Elena felt a shift in her thinking. For 2 years, humanity had focused on independence and self-reliance. They had built their strength in isolation. But perhaps it was time to consider what they could accomplish with genuine partners. The galaxy is changing, Admiral Park observed. The old council system is collapsing. Species are either adapting to independence or falling into chaos. Maybe it's time for something new. Elena looked at each of her colleagues. What do you think? Are we ready to engage with the galaxy again? Not the same galaxy, President Chen corrected. A new one. One where humans aren't seen as useful servants or dangerous anomalies, but as equals with something valuable to contribute. Dr. Montgomery nodded. I think our isolation period has served its purpose. We've proven we can survive and thrive on our own. Now maybe we can show the galaxy what cooperation between equals looks like. Elena made her decision. Madam President, I recommend we respond positively to the coalition's proposal, but with conditions. Any species that joins this new confederation must demonstrate that they've genuinely changed their approach to other civilizations. Agreed, President Chen said. The age of human isolation is ending, but this time, we engage on our terms, as equals among equals. Elena looked out at the stars through the conference room's observation window. Humanity had come to the galaxy seeking their place among civilized species. They had been disappointed by the reality they found. A stagnant system built on fear and control. But perhaps they could help build something better. Not the old council with its rigid hierarchies and suppressed innovation, but a true confederation where species maintained their independence while freely sharing knowledge and resources. The humans had refused to be diminished for the comfort of others. Now they could show the galaxy what cooperation looked like when built on mutual respect rather than dependency. The galaxy had demanded humanity become smaller. Instead, they had become the catalyst for the largest transformation in galactic civilization since the first council was formed. Elena smiled as she began composing humanity's response to the coalition. The real adventure was just beginning.